This is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review of another 80s horror film. And this time it is the 1983 film, The Final Terror. Now, The Final Terror, actually directed by Andrew Davis. Now, if Andrew Davis sounds familiar, this is the same guy who would go on to direct Above the Law with Steven Seagal, Code of Silence with Chuck Norris, The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, Collateral Damage with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't think he ever directed a horror film again, just a lot of action films, but before all those, he did this film. Now, The Final Terror, it's labeled a slasher film, but honestly, I think if you go into this thinking it's a slasher film, you would be disappointed. And I can see why people don't like the film, but I quite enjoy this movie. I really like the cast. I really like the look of the film. I think it's a good-looking picture. And the characters at times seem a bit smarter than the average slasher character. And this thing's different enough at points that, for me, it's a little bit apart from other slasher films. But again, really the best way to look at this as a survival wilderness movie. I think that's a more appropriate thing to call this than a slasher film, because body count wise, you're only getting about 5. And originally it was only 3, and then it was going to be released around, I believe, 81 or so, but it got delayed a few years because no one wanted to buy it because, hey, well, why are we going to buy this? There's not many kills in the movie. And so they have 2 more kills at the beginning, and people are like, I don't know, it's 5 of them, and there's really not much to the death scenes. And that's the thing, is that, again, if you look, the mistake they made was call this a slasher movie. Just call it a wilderness survival film. I think it would have a bit of a better reputation. But the movie, it's about a group of kids. Perhaps they're delinquents. They are part of this program where they have to go out, and they're in this camp, and they got clear trails or streams, and pretty much they go out to this place out in the woods. They're led by Mark Metcalf. This is the guy who played one of the bad guys in National Lampoon's Animal House. But he plays a good guy in this, and he's the leader of the group of kids. Joe Pantoliano, who would be in the Goonies and the Matrix, he's the bus driver. You have, among the cast, you got Rachel Ward, you got Lewis Smith, who I remember as one of the people in Southern Comfort, this guy here. Adrian Zmed, who would work with William Shatner on the TV show T.J. Hooker. Daryl Hannah, which she probably did this film before Blade Runner, but this came out after Blade Runner. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this film. I think it has a very strong cast and strong acting for a slasher. I keep calling it a slasher. Just most people call it a slasher, but for this kind of movie, I think it's a pretty damn good cast. And again, I thought that the characters kind of acted more natural, and again, at times they were a bit smarter than the average this type of genre. The average character, for the most part, they're like, let's stick together. There's not a lot of, I go hear a noise, I'm going to look at it by myself. A lot of times they work together. A lot of times they try to think of a way out, like let's build a trap, or let's all attack this place where we think the killer's at. So that's what I mean. Like, there's little things of that nature. Plus, I think it's a well photographed movie. Both Andrew Davis and, trying to look at who the DP was. Doesn't say on here, but I thought the location they chose for the forest, it looks very lush and Let me put it this way. Later on, and when I get to 1984 horror movies, there's a film that's kind of like this. And it's called The Prey, because it's kids going into the woods and there's a lot of nice shots of the landscape. But The Prey is how you do it the wrong way, and this is how you do it the right way. I'll wait till I talk about The Prey and that piece of shit. But I mean, yeah, in retrospect, would have been nice if it was a bigger body count and some good kills in there. Would have been nice. When you get to the end of the film, quite a few people are alive. In fact, you just say most of the cast is still alive. So, again, if you're going into this as a slasher fan, you're not getting it. But yeah, I liked it as a wilderness survival film. In the vein of films like Survival Quest and all these movies where people go in the woods and they gotta survive. In this point, a killer. And yeah, I thought the actors did their jobs well. Joe Pantoliano definitely has a creepy vibe to him, saying lines like, "You little peckers, keep that horse shit up. I'll leave you here." Or Adrian Zmed is brought out by these two guys. One of them is Ernest Hardin Jr., who I believe is this gentleman here. And the black guy doesn't die. I know that's a spoiler, but look, it's a slasher film, and the black guy doesn't die. And I'm even I keep calling it slasher survival, but I don't. This is a weird review because I get why people don't like the film, but I think it's actually pretty damn good. Andrew Davis, I thought he had some really nice looking shots. For example, there's a point where I was talking about like Adrian Zmed, these two guys bring him out there and we're going to steal weed. You stay out here and howl. What? Yeah, howl for every 45 seconds. What? You just do it. He does it, and then the two guys go, and then you're the audience members. That's a dumb thing. Well, it is a dumb thing because the two guys go, "Did he take the bait?" Yeah, he's a lot dumber than I thought. There was a joke they played on him. But there's some good looking shots. I was saying there's a point where Adrian Zmed's character is like here, and you think it's just the woods and foliage, but then the foliage starts moving and the foreground of the camera and then moves away, and it's like, oh shit, I did not expect that. That was a nice little surprise. Like, oh shit, this killer's out there and it's camouflaged. The death of the killer at the end, the way it was shot was extremely well done. Certain POV shots and certain things that happen. I thought that was, again, for this kind of film, a very well shot sequence. These two characters go into this cabin, they're looking around, and as soon as they find a severed wolf's head, they don't fuck around. There's like, fuck this, and they immediately run out of there. That's what I mean, like, they're doing stuff a little bit smarter, which is probably why so many people are alive by the end, because they don't act as dumb as some of the other characters in this type of genre. And again, they had a nice vibe around them, and there's not a lot of deep characterization. There's not a lot of character development, but I mean, I thought whether it be Rachel Ward or Daryl Hannah or, again, this guy, Ernest Hardin Jr., they all had like little moments that they did fine with, and they actually stick together, and they're together all the time. Once they know shit's really going down, they don't split up and search for clues. They don't really do any of that. They get to a bus, they stick together on the bus, and then the killer attacks them on the bus with axes and shit. And like I said, the cast, the look of the film, Even the reveal of the killer I thought was a bit interesting, which, spoilers starting now, spoilers. You're led to believe that it's Joe Pantoliano, but instead it is this woman here, which is his mother. And then if you remember, or if you rewatch the film, there was a campfire story the characters had told earlier about this woman that was raped on the trails, and she went out of her mind, and she was in an institution, and she had a baby, and Joe Pantoliano, you find out, or put two and two together later, that, oh, he was the one, and he wanted his mom out, and it sounds stupid, but for a split second I almost felt sorry for this woman. I don't know why. I like sort of the look of this weapon. How she has like this curved knife attached to her wrist. Almost something like a predator would have. And then, more spoilers. I like the idea that the characters, like, they think it's Joe Pantoliano and they set a trap up for him. But also one of them set up the spike trap, and then you find out it's this killer, and then this killer gets killed by the spike trap. I did well shot. Yeah, the complaints would be, if you'd drawn this as a slasher film, it would have been nice to have a bigger body count. It would have been nice to have more. There's really not much of any special effects. The kill scenes, the few there are, there's really not much to them. The two people at the beginning, one guy's found hanging upside down with like his throat slit. The girl, kind of a weird death where she hits a trap and tree branches hit her, and they have like these metal cylinder things. So I guess they cut her up to death. Mark Metcalf from Animal House, he gets stabbed in the back. The girl that was with him, she's kidnapped, and then her body's thrown onto the raft of our characters. And then one of them, when they face Joe Pantoliano, he's not paying attention. The killer like cuts him and he falls to his death on some rocks. So again, the death scenes are nothing to run home about. The body count is pretty low. I think that's why a lot of people, this is not a slash film that gets talked about or is on very low lists and not very well liked. But like I said, I enjoy this as more of a wilderness survival flick. I thought the cast did a good job. I liked the characters. I liked the look of the film. I think it was well photographed. I liked the look. Like at the end of the film, when everything comes to a head, they picked a neat location where it's in the remains of this gigantic tree. This giant tree that the characters are walking on and all this stuff happens on. And even like the root of the tree is so big that you see like the killer pop out of the root of the tree, because the tree's on its side and all messed up and splintered up. And I thought that was a really neat idea. Like I said, there's little things that makes it different enough from the variety of other slasher films I've seen. And I guess for me, if I like the characters and the setting, and it's not a long film, it's only an hour and 20 some minutes, very, very short. I keep repeating that. That's because I know I'm going to get people like, how the hell do you like this movie, Matt? There's really not much blood in it. But I like the characters in it. I like the actors in it. I thought they did a good job. And the Blu-ray, it looked great. I know they said something about they couldn't find certain prints, but I thought it looked good to me. And he interviews with actors Adrian Zmed, Lewis Smith, post-production supervisor Alan Holtzman, composers Susan Justin. You get audio commentary with director Andrew Davis, which I only listened to a little bit of it because it seemed like one of those commentaries that there was a lot of dead air on it, and a trailer. So kind of an interesting little poster too. Without knowing they have awakened an unknown force, can anyone survive? Well, a shitload of people survive, so that's a lot of people's problem with it. But again, If I hated them, I'd understand, but hell, one of my favorites is April Fool's Day, and well, if you've seen that, you know what I mean. But April Fool's Day is a lot better than that, but it's just still. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and stay tuned for more reviews of horror films from the year 1983. See you guys later. Bye-bye.